You're listening to a podcast by Way Collective, a contemplative community for love and liberation in Santa Barbara, California. This recording was the meditation at our Christmas Eve Candlelight gathering on December 24th, 2024. Thanks for tuning in. Birth is perhaps the greatest image that we human beings have for a new life. Birth is not only a new beginning, but it's a sort of seeing afresh, a renewing of one's perspective. It's like a light bulb going off. It's an aha moment. I remember that something happened when my first son, Asher, was born. I remember on the evening of his birth, after all the visitors had left, and it was just the three of us, Kara, Asher, and myself, some kind of mystery occurred. I was lying with him, and I started weeping openly. And what came to me in that moment was, this feels like whatever the opposite of war is. It was this sort of moment of holding this innocent, helpless little child, and I just knew that I was going to be about his preservation, his growth, his safety, like all the things that you feel as a new parent. And what I felt was love. I had a moment where the light bulb went off and I knew. I think that it's somehow when love gets down into us in one way or another that a birth happens in us. You don't have to have children of your own to experience this. Love gets into us in all sorts of ways, and we shared some of them earlier with each other, those places in our world where love is real to us. But this is Christmas. Many of us know the story, Mary and Joseph, the shepherds, the angels, the animals, and the manger. But this is also 2024, and some of us are all too familiar with the story of our world right now. As we looked at the theme of peace a couple of weeks ago, we held the tension of how Bethlehem, the very place in which peace on earth was proclaimed, is actually a place of war in our time. The very place where Jesus' birth occurred in our beloved Christmas stories is not a place where innocence and childlikeness are being preserved today. And we all know about our other challenges: suffering planetary ecosystems, people struggling without homes or food, a fragmenting political system, and hateful rhetoric almost everywhere we look in our media feeds. What does the Christmas story and invitation of new birth have to say about all this? And what does it call us to in the actual painful world that we inhabit today? Well, let me remind you that in the first week of Advent, we talked about how the hidden reality within hopelessness is actually the burgeoning possibility of something new springing forth. How when we look at the world with all of its pains and struggles and injustices, what is brewing just beneath the surface is a new opportunity for love to take root. When it comes to Christmas, it's fairly easy for each of us to remember the Jesus story we've been told year after year after year, to remember by looking back, by observing or by worshiping, or by thinking about how meaningful the season is to us nostalgically. And to be sure, most of us will do some of this Christmas, right? And that's all well and good. But I think if remembering ends there, we don't really quite yet comprehend the invitation of Christmas. The word remember means to remember, to re-embody, to live it out once again. So the Christmas story is something not to remember by looking back, but to remember. The philosopher Plato said that one of the greatest privileges of a human life is to become midwife to the birth of the soul in one another. Because when our souls awaken, we begin to truly inherit the fullness of our lives. So the Christmas story is not only about the birth of Christ, but about the birth of the Christ in you and in me. It's about the awakening of our souls to love and becoming that love in and for the world. And we need each other to help midwife that, don't we? That's what we need in 2024. More people for whom the birth of love has gotten down into their bones. people whose heartbeats are for justice and mercy, people who can shine a light of hope in a fragmented world, people whose deepest desire is to bring more peace in the world. And we don't really need more Christians to do this. We really don't. We don't need more Christians if that means people who believe the right things, who have their boxes checked and have the equations all worked out, know what us and them means, and are out waging religious wars. We just need people who are in love. We need people who have come alive, people who are being continually transformed into the image of love. That's what this story is all about. And I know you all know this because we've talked about it before, but as St. Teresa of Avila has said, Christ has no body now but yours, no hands, no feet on earth but yours. Yours are the eyes through which he looks compassionately on this world. Yours are the feet with which he walks to do good. Yours are the hands through which he blesses all the world. Yours are the hands, yours are the feet, yours are the eyes. You are his body. Christ has no body now on earth but yours. Many of us who might have a little nativity set in our homes with Mary and Joseph and the shepherds and the three kings and the animals, and let's not forget the baby Jesus. We have these mementos that we keep around because they're icons that remind us of what we want to call forth in our day and time. You and I are called to be icons of love, to be the image of love for the world, period. It's useless to remember these stories unless we remember them, unless they take root in our bodies in this place, in our world, and hopefully in Bethlehem today. There's only one thing I really want to say this evening, and it's this. What's true of Jesus of Nazareth at Christmas time is also true of you. Not only was Jesus conceived and born by love, but so were you, so am I. It is our beginning and it is our life's path to return to love so that we might turn into love. The love that took root in his life and gave him purpose and grace to shine his light into the world is also within you and I. And if you don't believe me, he's quoted as having said it himself, "You are the light of the world." And some of us may not have been told by certain religious people that our beginning was in love, right? We might have been told that our start was bad, that our inherent goodness was something that we had to earn, whether by doing it right or believing it right, or by not falling prey to so many bad behaviors that were on the no-no list, right? Some of us might have heard that our start was not like Jesus at all, that we were born impure, not pure. Nope, don't believe that for a second. It doesn't matter who you are in this circle. Whatever is true of Jesus is already true of you. Christ, light, love, whatever you want to call it, is within each of us, sustaining us even now. Perhaps the Christmas truth is that even when we can't see it ourselves, in our darkest moments of despair or anxiety, doubt, shame, depression, suffering, pain, the feeling of complete and utter forsakenness and isolation, this story we tell each year insists that the light of love is still there within you. It cannot be extinguished. Perhaps the Christmas invitation is to find that hidden space within yourself beneath all the hurt and the growing pains where the light of love still flickers, so you can remember what it is like to be a child at peace in the world. And if we watch the children during Christmas, the magic and mystery is still in them, is it not? Jesus said they are close to the kingdom of heaven, that place within you and I where the eternal love is alive here and now. Jesus says it is theirs. And all of us, as we grow older, have to find our way back there to that place of innocence after life gets hard. We must encounter the mystery of love born in ourselves to be able to see it in the world around us. And sometimes this place gets buried deep within us. especially for those of us who have been hurt by religious people, or for those of us who took our pain or loss in this life as a sign that the love we once knew had abandoned us. For many of us, this kind of recognition is like a birth. It's like an awakening. It's like a light bulb going off. Advent has been a time, as we've been talking about here at Way Collective the past few weeks, where light and darkness are held together. They don't eradicate each other, but we have to find a way to let them coexist, to hold light in the dark. That is what Christmas is all about. Joy returning yet again. In a world like ours, where division rules the day and hate and oppositional thinking seem to be the new quality of our society, we need a people of hope, a people who know the light in here and who live the light of love out there. This Christmas, may we remember that what is true of the love told in these great Christmas stories and displayed in the life of Christ is an invitation to let the light of Christ, the light of love, be born anew in us. It is already keeping watch in you, even if it feels like just a faint flicker in the darkness. This Christmas, may each of us awaken to that light within us, and may we embody that spark for a world in need of a love come to life. Thanks for listening to this podcast by Way Collective. To keep up with our community, you can subscribe to this podcast, go to www.waycollective.org, or follow us on Instagram at @waycollective. Peace and every good, y'all.